Hello, English lovers. Welcome to Felicity's YouTube channel. On today's video, we are going to tackle modal verbs. Modal verbs are a type of auxiliary verbs that express modality, which means they convey degrees of possibility, ability, permission, obligation, and necessity. Before we go or continue, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And also turn on your notification bell in order to get notified whenever we have a lesson. Let's dive in. What are modal verbs, or what do they express? Modal verbs express possibility. For example, you use can, could, may, or might. Modal verbs equally express ability, and we can use can and could. Again, they express permission. For example, we can use may, might, or can. They again express obligation. For example, must, should, ought to. Modal verbs again express degrees of necessity. What do we have? Must and have to. Now let's take modal verbs. Let's group them into their different functions. For example, we earlier said can and could express ability and permission. May express permission and possibility. Might express possibility. Must express obligation and necessity. Should and ought to express advice and recommendation. Will express future intention or prediction. Would express conditional or past habits. Now let's practice, or let's have some examples of modal verbs in sentences. Sentence 1. I can speak English fluently. I can speak English fluently. This expresses ability. Sentence 2. You may leave the room when you have finished. You may leave the room when you have finished. This expresses permission. Sentence 3. It might rain tomorrow, so bring an umbrella. It might rain tomorrow, so bring an umbrella. This is a possibility. Sentence 4. You might try this meal. It's so delicious. You might try this meal. It's so delicious. This is a suggestion or an obligation. Sentence 5. You should have studied harder for the exam. You should have studied harder for the exam. This is an advice. Modal verbs can be used in different forms. What do we mean by different forms? We mean we can use them in different verb tenses. It can be in the simple, present, the past tense, or the continuous tense. So let's take the tenses and some sentences. The present perfect tense is used for general truths and habits. Remember our lesson on that? Okay, so let's have an example. I can play the guitar. I can play the guitar. This sentence is in the simple present tense. Okay, the we can equally use modals in the present continuous tense. This is used for temporary or changing situations. For example, I am able to play the guitar at the moment. I am able to play the guitar at the moment. We can equally use it for the past simple or the simple past, however you call it. Now, Remember, this simple past is used for completed actions in the past. For example, I could play the guitar when I was younger. I could play the guitar when I was younger. Now we can equally use it for the past perfect tense, which is used for actions that occurred before another action. The past perfect is used for actions that occurred before another action. For example, I had been able to play the guitar before I injured my hand. I had been able to play the guitar before I injured my hand. So, here are some tips on how to use modal verbs. We use modal verbs to express degrees of possibility, ability, permission, obligation, and necessity. Again, you should be able to choose the right modal verb for the right context. Again, we should be able to practice modal verbs in different forms and combinations. That's it for today's lesson on modal verbs. Remember to practice, practice, and practice because practice makes perfect. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And if you have any issues you'd like me to handle, please leave them in the comment section. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.